Fossils. That's science. Don't tell me how they got into existence, because you don't have a clue. You don't have a clue. I don't want to hear about your theories and your stupid theories about how these creatures came from one cell, when you can't prove it to me. You can't prove it. No one can prove it. Oh, but we think that that's what happened. No, just show me the animals. Tell me about them. Don't tell me that you know exactly how they came to be, because you don't. And don't tell my children that you know either. That makes me angry. I would prefer that we just tell them it's okay not to know. It's okay to say, I don't know.
So why is it important to understand why there are so many diverse species on Earth, right? So that's kind of explained every day in the medical field with bacteria, bacterial resistance to our antibiotics, how pathogens evolve to reproduce and spread themselves. It's obviously something important. This lady's crazy. All right. Okay, so a common argument to debunk evolution is the first thing people go to all the time is evolution is just a theory, right? It's called evolutionary theory. It's a theory. So a theory in science is not the same as common, speech. Like, oh, it's just a theory. It's nothing. A theory in science is something that's backed up with evidence that's been proven throughout time, again and again and again. But scientists still, it's not dogma, it's not law, per se. Another thing that is theory is gravitational theory, Newton's law of gravitational theory. It's a theory, but obviously gravity is a thing. That's not something that's disputed. You can test it out right now. You can drop a pin. There's gravity. Common claim against evolution is that it's not testable in a lab, which is true. It's obviously true. But we do have a lot of evidence that proves evolution. And most evidence, well, pretty much all evidence that is found is for evolution. It doesn't, as far as I'm not aware, there is no evidence that really disproves evolution. A couple of examples of evidence for evolution would be the fossil record. We found fossils that date back, millennia ago, and show how different species have evolved from more primitive forms. So my favorite claim against evolution would definitely have to be, if humans descended from monkeys, why are there still monkeys, right? So that's kind of like saying, if children came from parents, then why are there still parents? It kind of dismisses the whole branching out nature of evolution. Just because one species still exists does not mean that its descendants, the parent species, would not still exist. So another claim against evolution would be, how could an animal A just change into animal B like presto, like out of nowhere, right? So that kind of dismisses it's kind of an ignorant understanding of how evolution really works, and the time scale that it works on. So for an animal A to evolve into animal B, it would take millions of years, like a long time, for a species to emerge from another species. And that occurs from a bunch of different factors, different environmental pressures placed on that species for a certain genotype or phenotype to survive better or more efficiently than another one. Only then would a new species emerge, and that's obviously from millions and millions of years down the road. And that doesn't mean that one species, the parent species, is just going to stop existing. The child species and the parent species could still exist unless the environmental pressures that are placed on the parent species are so great that only the child species survives better than the parent species.